Hey, Lariah, I wanted to leave you some feedback on your rough draft. Um, I think that you're working with some good ideas here. I like the image that you chose for your analysis. I feel like, oh, I want to move back here so I can scroll to your image in just a moment. Um, I think that the image will give you enough to talk about. Um, for a fully realized essay. What I want to do is talk to you about some things here and there that I think will improve the essay. So I thank you so much for introducing the artist. And you start off with this idea that the artist portrays issues currently occurring throughout the United States, but note that that's a pretty broad idea, and you immediately abandon it. So the reader's going to want to know right off the bat what those issues are. And there's quite a few different issues represented here through the t-shirts and the messages of the people. Uh, so I think touching on the most important ones, like you did here with that response to Trump's message, you responded here to the Black Lives Matter movement and T-shirt, and this guy probably seems really important, right? Because he's front and center. Me Too is in there as well, and then also we have the Pride flag over here. Um, so I think it's smart to touch on these issues. So one of the ways to illustrate that early on is to more clearly indicate, like I said, some of these issues that are occurring in the public forum. So maybe something to do here is research the date of when this cartoon was published, because that should give you some insight to uh, really what motivated the author to or the artist to create this image. In other words, this summer we saw very large protests around the country. And so if this image was created sometime this summer, particularly after George Floyd's murder, you know that this individual, this artist, is likely responding to those specific issues. But it could be that the artist is responding directly before the protests that we saw this summer, because all the issues that are represented in the protesters in the image, what is represented in their T-shirts, these were all issues that we had before this summer, right? So I think talking about these ideas here in more depth, maybe just hitting on some of the real concrete current issues, um, right, or current events instead of just referring to them as issues would be really helpful here. Um, you mentioned that the artist is using art, but that is kind of a really broad idea. What I want you to do in your next draft is think about the specific visual elements that the artist is using, right? So instead of just saying like the art is helping the reader to understand this, think about composition, think about arrangement, think about line, think about how text is used along with the visuals, right? Those are the things that I want you to think about. So I really like that you start off by talking about uh, the use of text in the image, particularly, the largest piece of text, and the way that you described the font is perfect. I think you might do a little bit of you could do a little bit more development here in terms of thinking about the image as a call to action, right? Because even though there's some clear diversity, as you say, in terms of specific message, in terms of gender and race, this seems to suggest that Americans can be united, right? Uh, in a very broad issue of human rights for all, right? So I think developing that idea a little bit further would be useful. You say moving down to the image, the crowd of various people kneels together, each wearing a different shirt. This is the one spot that you missed, the idea that they're all kneeling together. Note that this is a nod to Colin Kaepernick and the athletes all taking a knee during the national anthem. This is what that is mimicking, right? So I feel like talking about the way everyone is positioned is something that's really important to understanding the message. And then I like that you are talking about the different shirts that they're wearing. And I think going into those in depth would be useful as well. So it kind of feels like this area right here is the area that you'd want to focus on and expand on. So perhaps seeing each of these ideas, each of these different elements as a different paragraph that allow you to expand and get the full page length here. I like that you created so much depth on Melania Trump's t-shirt here. You did a lot of writing there. But I wonder if this information would be better suited up here when you first mention the different shirts. You could say, like, for example, there's this, and this is what it's a response to. Or another one that might be worth analyzing, like I said, like the pride flag, like what does that mean? And again, I think talking about the gestures of all the people would be useful as well. So yeah, I agree that this is really what the purpose of the image is. I think that, yeah, and I like that uh the way that you have analyzed the conclusion here. I think the best way to handle a revision here is to touch on some of these vague ideas, see these ideas as actually separate paragraphs that you can expand upon, and then think about putting this place, or excuse me, putting this writing, moving it up here where you first mention it, I think will help out quite a bit. All right. Let me know if you have any questions about this. Thanks, Thoraya.